So what we're looking at here, guys, is basically the draft order as it stands right now. Okay, so we're looking at Jacksonville number 1, Detroit number 2, Houston number 3, New York Jets number 4. Yeah, sorry, thank you for doing that, and so on. So I won't read all the names, but we're talking about this because we're going to talk about teams that are going to need a new quarterback. You talked about it earlier, Brandon. You can't just fire 8 quarterbacks. Well, let's see what teams may fire their quarterback next season. And these are just possibilities, right? But these are some possible, quarterback landing spots. If nothing else, maybe to draft a rookie and to keep them on the bench for a year before they replace their incumbent starter. So do you guys want to talk a little bit about some possible quarterback landing spots? Who needs the quarterback and who maybe needs them the most?
I'll tell you, I can go over these logos for our audience listener.
So go ahead.
You got 12 logos up here. We got the Broncos, Steelers, Saints, Panthers, Giants, Washington football team, Dolphins, Colts, Vikings, Falcons, Lions, and Texans. A lot of the same names we mentioned for head coach vacancies.
It's similar, very
pretty similar. Yeah,
makes sense though. You get a new head coach, bring in a new quarterback, start a new regime, kind of.
You're screwed. 2x. You're screwed 2x over. Exactly. Ain't got no coach, ain't got no quarterback. That sounds bad. And Giants will never have an O-line. And Falcons don't really have an O-line. So hey.
The football teams, yeah.
Somebody today, just to this is how it's working. This is just how the world works. Someone today tried to give me Matt Ryan for a 2024 third round pick. So they said, take him almost for free. And I said, no. So,
is it Superflex?
It's not Superflex.
Then, yeah, it's a no.
That's a legacy dynasty.
That is a no.
Not Superflex. Yeah. I said, no. I mean, what am I going to do? I don't even want him. I have Patrick Mahomes. So
in Superflex, he's worth that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. You
might have got a steal if he was super.
Yeah, you want crap, getting crap at quarterback. Anything you can start, is great.
At least he's a third.
He's a starting quarterback. That's all that matters, really.
Yeah, for now.
Until he
retires.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I know Denver's a pretty interesting spot, right?
I was just gonna say
Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock. Neither of them look to be the answer. Steelers, Ben Roethlisberger is retiring? ? Is that?
It's pretty much official. I don't think he said it out loud yet.
I knew Breeze was retiring too once he couldn't, really throw the ball well, and we see that with Big Ben. So I think the writing's on the. I mean, I said he's retiring before he said anything. So now, of course, I think he's retiring, man, because he can't really play. Yeah.
Well, speaking of Breeze, the Saints are still trying to find his true successor. They have what? Jameis Winston,
Trevor Siemian. Oh, Taysom Hill. Sorry, that's a better option.
Yeah, none of them are really the guy, I don't think. Maybe they'll give it one more go-around with Jameis, you think?
Yeah, I'm a fan of Jameis. I don't think you need a stud quarterback. Yeah, I don't think you have to swing for the fences for a quarterback, but drafting another one could be a good idea. You also have Ian Buck. I remember we were all
gross.
I was like, start the defenses playing against Ian Buck. I told everybody that, and so hey, I got sometimes I get things right in fantasy.
Kale is right on time.
It worked out very well.
Ian Gross Buck.
So
Carolina.
You got Carolina
right now.
We got Sammy Darnold, and we got PJ Walker, and Cam is on the way out, I would assume.
Yeah, none of those options seem to be a franchise quarterback at this point in time.
No.
So they're definitely going to be swinging, I think.
Not a lot of these topics interest me except the Giants. What are they going to do with Daniel Jones? I think that's the biggest question mark out of all of this. I think
they're going to keep him, but who knows?
I mean,
they got.
I know they'd say everything.
No. What choice? What do you What choice? Even the Packers traded up for a quarterback.
Drew, scroll back up to the draft order, because I know the Giants have 2 top 10 picks, top 8.
Yeah, we're looking at 5 and 7 for the Giants.
So I mean, you
this
can get a quarterback
upcoming
and
draft.
a good tackle, and call it a day.
Or a
Top
bad
10.
quarterback and bad tackle.
Or
I
get
guess
two
a bad
linemen.
quarterback and a bad tackle, right?
Or get dude, if you get 2 linemen, knowing
One
the
of them's got to
Giants,
hit, right?
they have a
Then Daniel Jones is
20%,
definitely the starter.
20% chance one of them will hit, knowing the Giants.
20% chance.
I mean, let's be real. Like, I haven't seen them hit on an O-line in ever. I haven't seen them put up touchdowns in 6 years. Like,
It's pretty bad.
offensive touchdowns.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah, last time they were like okay was like Odell when Odell was a rookie, and like they just don't put up a lot of points. Or like that boat pick where they took the boat pick.
Oh man, before the playoff.
That's a pretty good one. Like people do the before and after the boat pick. After that boat pick, like that whole team was done. They haven't
Fell off a cliff.
done anything since then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Revolved head coaches since then.
Yeah, I
they
don't
just-
recognize half the people in the picture anymore. They're out of the league.
well, they do have all Michael Jordan crying faces on them, so it's hard to recognize.
That is true.
There you go.
But I play a lot of DFS and whatnot. I know now, like, to not pick Giants games because no one scores touchdowns. It's always a low scoring game because this team cannot put up more than 1 touchdown. Like they can't like getting a touchdown is like a miracle for them, and they need some kind of They have
It's just abysmal offense. That's what it is.
Yeah, they have.
Ugh.
They have nothing. So I
Well,
think
speaking of multiple
that's a
picks.
crazy Daniel Jones. Do they? Yeah, let's see if they
Keeper build elsewhere. Speaking of
Yeah.
multiple picks, Drew, you were saying?
Yeah, I was just going to say there's 2 other teams with multiple picks in the first round, but those teams won't need a quarterback. That's the Jets with 2 picks and the Eagles with 3 picks. So now we are looking at teams like the Giants who have pick number 5, Denver has pick number 9, Atlanta has pick number 8, Washington at 11. So these are all teams we just mentioned, New Orleans at 18, and of course, not to overshadow Detroit at number 2 or Houston at number 3. Basically, a lot of the teams we already mentioned are in this top 18. So that means they could be going after one of the top quarterbacks we're getting ready to cover.
Panthers are mocked to take a quarterback, and I don't know how I feel about that.
Quarterback at 6. It would have to probably be.
Oh,
Well,
I missed the
we can get
Panthers.
into
You're
that.
right. Panthers at 6.
Panthers at 6. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they gave Sam Darnold that long enough to draft a quarterback at 6. I mean, it's pretty.
I can't believe you're going to pass on Justin Fields and then 1 year later with a higher pick get a worse quarterback. That's kind of
Yeah, it makes
You could
no,
trade back a few slots though, maybe get the second guy.
or just
Like once the
maybe.
first guy goes.
I think you need to try Sam Darnold a little longer. I don't see how you don't. I mean, did you say it's a whole new regime? Like
no,
could they
Matt
just
Rule's
be
still
like-
there.
He's still around, right? It's just a new offensive coordinator, I think, that they're going to find.
I think you got. I mean, how many games did Darnold like actually play? Like 6?
Oh, I was
8?
just looking at
Oh,
the
man,
trade
something
here.
like
Let me-
that. I don't know the exact number, but it was. I know he was.
No,
hurt
I'll look
when
it
it
up.
was
Well,
revolving
you
door.
have to count the games where like Cam was playing a lot as like half,
Right.
or they're doing like.
That
Is that like-
rotation, like QBBC, whatever.
Yeah, is that the
Ugh.
best way to tank? Like, just have we're like playing 3 quarterbacks, 3 bad quarterbacks, and just rotating. Oh yeah, we can put that on TikTok. The Panther poop carousel, the Panther poop merry-go-round. We'll put that clip out there.
The
That was a
quarterbacks
great
do
pick.
merry-go-round.
That was a great pick. Super flex question. They asked us, do we start Sam Darnold or Rashad Penny? And thank God we went with Rashad Penny on that clip.
Sam played 12 games, by the way, last season.
Let's make that
12.
10.
Okay. Let's make that 10. Right.
No. Well, look, he got injured right while playing, right?
You're probably right. I don't
got
see it
injured
exactly
while
on
playing.
this sheet.
And they did a carousel thing. So
There you go.
Yeah, let's call it 10.
Let's
10
make
and a
it
half, 11.
10. Yeah, let's
Something
make
like
it 10's a nice even number. Let's make it 10. I don't think that's enough to know that he's absolute trash. Give him another
Well-
year, and then you'll be like, all right, this guy's trash.
Just kick the QB carrots.
What are you gonna
QB
What are you
can
gonna
down
do?
one
You're
more
gonna
year.
win this year? You're gonna win a Super Bowl?
Not with that offensive line, no.
We're gonna see this teal-colored confetti coming down. Come on, stop. Just let us build for the future. Like that's all you
What
can
about the
do.
Colts? What about the Colts taking a quarterback? Do you see it, Brain? Do you see it, Sushane?
I think Wentz is a good QB. He doesn't have many weapons to throw to. I have no complaints with Wentz.
I would like them to take a quarterback just because there is one guy who I think fits really well, and we'll talk about him later. But I kind of agree with Brain. I mean, Carson Wentz has shown he's serviceable. I mean, I know they missed the playoffs this year, but they had it in the bag the last 2 weeks. Just winning in any of those last two, they just kind of choked it away.
Yeah, they
still have a
lost
good
to the
team,
Jags.
you know.
It's
Yeah, I mean,
Lose their
it's tough.
chance.
It's tough, right?
They need receivers.
They need receivers.
That's
They need a
obvious.
better second receiver because Pittman's good, but I don't think he can, carry them.
I need this number one, number two things. Like to me, is more of a, I don't know, like a buzzword almost. Like because everyone's running 3 wide receivers, everyone's running tight ends, and like it's a different league now. Like you need receivers, and Hilton is done, expired, oft injured, or he sucks, or I think he's looking like he'll probably retire this year. Unless they really want him back. They're like, dude, you'll play like a reserve role. You'll be like a Frank Gore.
Pay him another $10 million.
Oh, God, no, they can't do that. But they need receivers. There's a lot of receivers this draft. I mean,
that's true.
I think Carson Wentz is above average as far as the NFL quarterback.
Hilton made $8 million last year, not 10. He made $8 million to be injured the majority of the season.
T.Y. Hilton?
Yeah, I remember it was a big 1-year deal that they signed as kind of like a, you're welcome. He's contributed a lot to their team over the season, so that was kind of his payback. I feel like
payback. I see.
Because I don't think he was worth $8 million.
No, because he only played. I think he missed the whole season, right, or most of it.
The majority.
He played only in a handful of games at most.
Yeah, I think Wentz's only issue is if you think he's injury prone. I think that's the main issue.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Yeah, Hilton played 10 games.
Hilton played
not very effectively, but he played 10 games. He only had 331 yards receiving this season, 23 catches in 10 games.
Wow.
No bueno. Oh, boy.
Yeah.
They paid $8 million for that.
That's a waste of $8 million. Kind of.
Dang.
Amar reminds us that AJ Green also made $8 million last season for the Cardinals.
He's better.
Where's the difference? Way better.
He's better than Hilton, though.
Yeah.
And we have more Niner fans in the house.
Twitch fam. Let's go.
Here we go.
Look at this.
Lucky says 49ers winning the Super Bowl.
Show him
Jimmy the Bengals for the third time.
Show him that pie chart before we go into the 2022 quarterback rookie class.
All right, Lucky. This is for you.
Yeah, we want the pie chart. Oh, man, this makes me hungry every time I look at it.
Aren't you hungry, Pie?
Look at that.
Hungry,
pie.
Lucky?
Look at that pie, man.
So are you an apple pie guy? Are you a pecan pie guy?
I'm a Niner pie guy. The 8% looks tasty to me.
Yeah, let's eat that old 8%.
Oh,
I like pumpkin pie too.
Oh, there you go. We went on a weird food tangent once in one of these podcasts, and Brain was just on a roll. He hit like every food group you could think of. I can't remember what week that was.
On this podcast?
Oh, God, it was hilarious. Moving on, though. It was great.
Yeah, we're going on to the Dynasty Talk. The NFL, the regular fantasy season might end, but Dynasty, there is no off season.
Has just begun.
Oh, yes. The time is right.
We're talking about 2022 rookie quarterbacks in terms of Dynasty fantasy football. So I'll let Drew and Sushane talk about this.
Okay, so I'll get started by just kind of giving you guys a quick overview. Sushane's going to break it down further. But what we're going to first kind of mention is that this quarterback class is, as a whole, considered to be weaker than your typical quarterback draft class. And it's similar to the wide receivers that we covered last week, was it? But there's no consensus top quarterback, just like in that class for the wide receivers. So, we looked at some landing spots already. I'm going to introduce you to a couple of guys who could fit in one of those spots. We got Matt Corral from Ole Miss. He threw for over 3,300 yards last season, 20 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He was a pretty decent rushing threat as well. He had 614 yards and 11 touchdowns. And then to the right, we have Kenny Pickett out of Pitt, who I really like, but he's 6'3", 220. He had 4,300 yards passing, 42 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. So those are pretty big numbers, I think. And tell us a little bit more about these two guys, if you don't mind, Sushan. I know you have kind of the inside scoop on what you think they're going to look like in the NFL.
Yeah. So again, like you were saying, wide receivers, there was no consensus, but we did kind of give you a couple names, like, 2, 3 names, 4 names that maybe one of these guys would be the WR1. So similarly, these two guys, Matt Corral and Kenny Pickett, probably have the highest chance to get picked in the as a QB1 in 2022. We're looking at definitely round 1, possibly top 10 overall in the NFL draft, maybe even top 5. If one of these teams really wants a quarterback, they can get Matt Corral or Kenny Pickett. So Corral, he's the kind of more the athletic, like you were saying, he ran the ball. So he's more of the athletic playmaker type of quarterback, not really your pocket passer type guy, right? Gifted arm, though. He can layer his throws. I think last time when we gave kind of a brief introduction about all these guys, I think it was like a couple months back, actually, I kind of compared that to Trevor Lawrence in a way. How he can layer his throws between 2 defenders. So that's Matt Corral. Incredible touch as well on the football. Arm strength as well definitely is going to translate into the NFL level, I believe. He's got a very strong arm. Pocket awareness, escapability. He's quick, so he can escape defenders. And going back to that rushing thing, teams can probably build their offense not necessarily like a Lamar Jackson around his rushing ability, but they can definitely implement that quite a bit into their offense. What's the weakness, right? All these quarterbacks, we said none of them are, or in total is kind of a weak class in general. So for him, consistency is going to be an issue. This year, 5 interceptions, not terrible. I know last year, though, he had double-digit interceptions. So that turnover, it's going to be a glaring blemish there on his resume when he gets scrutinized during the draft process in the coming months. In terms of like a comparison, kind of Zach Wilson-y, off platform, those different arm angles, all that stuff. And what I'm thinking is, because he's kind of like that playmaker type of guy, right? If we were to put him on the Denver Broncos, I mean, look at the situation that they're in, right? They have a good defense. They have some weapons. Noah Fant, Jerry Jeudy, Javonte Williams is pretty good. Cortland Sutton. I mean, they got some guys there, right? But in their division, they have Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes that they got to get past in order to, win the division, get a more favorable playoff positioning and whatnot. So you kind of need someone of a difference maker, right? Someone who can kind of, like a dual threat quarterback, run the ball, pass the ball, make some plays, right? So maybe Matt Corral to Denver, I think, would be a pretty nice fit. Where do they pick in the NFL draft? I don't remember the exact.
Aren't you scared he's going to be just like Drew Lock? Is that not like a number one fear?
I don't know. Maybe. I think man. I mean, I am definitely a little hesitant on him. That's for sure. As I am with all these quarterbacks, I'm not really high on any of them completely, but I mean, the offense is there, the situation is there, the pieces are there, but it could happen. Being him being just like a Drew Lock, just like an average guy, like that's definitely a very strong, like it's an
average
outcome. Yeah,
below Broncos
average.
Pick number 9, by the way. Broncos pick number 9.
Yeah, so that's top 10, right where I was thinking. So it's possible he can go to Denver.
Human instinct, your human instinct and emotion I mean, it could be very scary to do that. Like John Elway had to step away from picking quarterbacks. Like this is like it's getting embarrassing. I keep picking losers, and they can't find themselves like the Giants can't find an O-line. This team can't find a quarterback ever since Peyton and Manning. And
well, they got to keep swinging, man. They need a quarterback,
Yeah, and I'm not even saying like what they should or shouldn't do. I'm just saying like it is a fear. Like it happens. Like this is the type of thing that happens. Like every time you do something, it's like every time I go swimming, I almost drown. It's like, man, I don't want to get in the water anymore. I don't want to take a shower no more. I don't want to take a bath anymore. I'm scared of sprinklers. It's just a human. It's just a human.
Sprinklers.
Just a human emotion. Like we're humans. Like this is what I'm trying to say. Is like I think there is this kind of wall, this kind of thing, this kind of fear right now, and that's the first thing that pops in my mind. Oh boy, I don't want to draft the next Drew Lock. Like it's gonna be bad. It's gonna be amplified. So, and number 9, man, that's oh god, that's so high.
I don't expect him to be picked number 1 overall. I'll say that much. So if that worries you, that hey, quarterback not picked with the first overall pick, why would I take him as the first quarterback? I get that concern completely because I have that same concern as well.
Kale says,
I was gonna pull that up.
It's talking about Matt Corral, I believe, right? Matt Corral reminds me of Teddy Bridgewater before all the injuries. When he says he, I mean, when Kale says he, he's talking about Matt
is talking about Corral.
Yeah. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean
Teddy was
the
pretty
dual threat
dynamic.
ability is there. Say that again.
Teddy was pretty dynamic before that injury.
Yeah, he was. Minnesota, right? Minnesota Vikings. He led them to the playoffs, and then
he went to the Saints after that, I believe. But you're right; it was in Minnesota.
He did pretty well with the Saints too. 5-0.
Everybody does well on the Saints,
true,
except in Book.
Except in Book, yeah.
That's when you start the opposing defense.
Right.
That's when they called Drew Brees' hair plugs, and it was like, can you come play?
You ready to come back?
Like, dude, we have Ian
Please come back, right?
Like, dude, Ian Book started. We're not making playoffs, dude. Come back. Like, you're better than Ian Book. I know you haven't practiced in like 8 months. Like, come on.
He sent him a picture of him golfing, I believe, by the way, and said, "Yeah, right." Something like that.
Drew Brees?
I believe that was the story.
Yeah.
Actually, the more I'm thinking about it, I kind of do like Teddy Bridgewater as a comparison. I mean, I think he could be better than Teddy Bridgewater, but I'm starting.
What about his arm? Is his arm better than?
I think
Teddy?
his arm is a little stronger. I would say that's.
I would think so. Looking at tape.
Yeah, that's the only thing I would say is different, but definitely the rushing ability and kind of the size and the way they look.
Yeah,
similar, very similar. Next guy we have though.
I was gonna say, what do you think about Pickett?
Same thing. Also, in the running to be the QB1, top 10, top 5 upside, NFL draft, something like that. He's a little bigger, right? Corral was 6'2", 205.
Yep.
This guy is Kenny Pickett, 6'3", 220. Obviously, he's an athletic playmaker. I know you. Maybe you want to talk about that play.
I love it.
Yeah, go ahead.
He went for a slide, right? So he's out of the pocket. He's running down the field, maybe 10, 15 yards at this point. He goes to slide. He fakes the slide. The defenders think he's going to slide, so they stop pursuing. He takes it to the house. Another 20, 30-yard tack on to that original run for a touchdown. I'll try to pull it up just so I can tell you who he played against in that case. But you got to see this, Brain. It was a great play.
Kenny Pickett is the guy that people are picking to go to Panthers according to mock draft consensus.
Really? Okay. Well, he did go to Pittsburgh and play for the Panthers of Pittsburgh, so that's kind of some irony there. But I think if he went to the Pittsburgh Steelers, stayed in Pittsburgh, oh man, that would be nice.
That would be beautiful. That's my pick, actually.
Yeah,
I think he'll go to the Steelers. So this was against Wake Forest in the ACC championship game. It was in the first quarter. He basically faked the slide and took it for about 30, 40 yards. He's pretty quick. He can get outside of the pocket, but I think his throwing ability is actually his best trait.
Oh yeah, so he's an experienced thrower. right? Great mechanics, great polished mechanics,
Good touch.
good touch. Arm strength is definitely going to translate to the next level, right?
Yeah, I
He's
wanted you
definitely-
to. Can we get some drama here? I think this will hopefully
No,
get
this is
some
more
blood
drama
running.
for us.
Yeah,
So
that's what I
Amar
want.
says,
Yeah.
Amar says Kenny Pickett is a fifth-year senior, which is a huge red flag for me, regardless of position. He did kind of come out of nowhere a little bit too.
yeah, that's true. He could have been drafted last year, chose to stay, get one more year of experience under his belt.
So not out of nowhere, but he was coming
Yeah.
from a late draft pick to now early, maybe top 10.
Yeah, right. One of the first quarterbacks taken. One of the weaknesses, though, you're saying as a thrower, he, good touch. He's pretty good. He does tend to rely on these kind of highlight reel. He wants to make the cool plays. When he has those nice mechanics, he should rely on those. Learn to rely on those more. Learn to, just have those as his. When it's late in the game, when it's important, when you have to make the play, instead of trying to, make a highlight cool looking, throw on the run.
Spectacular play.
Spectacular play, right? Some pizzazz. Just keep it cool, keep it clean, make the play. Big problem there is that he tends to force the ball sometimes a little bit, and then we get to the interceptions. I mean, he had 7 this year, right? It's not. I mean, that's not a lot, but that's not a little either. So I mean, he definitely is guilty of making some mistakes because he's forcing it a little bit too much and trying to make a play when all he can just do is just sit back, relax, and just fire to his receiver. So both of these guys, it kind of depends on where they go in the NFL draft. If they're taken first as a QB1, probably going to go in the top half of your rookie draft, I would think. Super flex, right? So we're talking like picks 1 through 6, somewhere like that. I would say both of these guys, whoever the QB1 and QB2 of the NFL draft is, probably both of them would be gone by like the 108. I think that's my best guess for you. It really just is going to depend on your league and what positions team needs. I know a lot of people are going to know that wide receivers are the best, so maybe wide receivers go earlier. Running backs are important. There's a couple good ones, so maybe they get pushed up draft as well. People know it's a bad quarterback class or a weak quarterback class, but at the same time, I mean, if the Steelers get one of these guys, or the Saints get one of these guys, or the Broncos, those are pretty good fits. Could be exciting prospects.
I was waiting for you to say, do you think this is total BS, or do you think this is this nothing burger? Is this something? Is a 5th-year senior a red flag for you?
It's not a red flag, but I mean, it does definitely bring up the question, okay, why did they not declare when they could have, which is in their after their 3rd season, right? You can actually declare for the NFL draft after you're a junior. So him being a 5th-year senior means he passed up on entering junior season eligibility. Then he passed up again for a 2nd season when he was a senior. And now he's basically like a 3rd ballot, basically. He's like a 3rd ballot NFL draft, if you want to
But
call
isn't
it
this the thing that we argue about? What's the age breakout year?
Exactly. It's one of those
This is the same. This is
right?
Basically the same thing, right? Breakout year, analytics.
Pretty much. That's pretty much the extent of it.
I mean, but what we're concerned about more is like a Zach Wilson type of thing, right? Where he wasn't really on people's boards until this very last year, but which does happen a lot in college. Now, is that concerning, or is that just? I mean, something to note.
I mean, yeah, it's something to note, but I mean, we saw Joe Burrow. Who was Joe Burrow 1 year before he had that insane year? He was going to be like a 5th round, 6th round draft pick at best. It's kind of the same thing with Kenny Pickett, right?
Yeah, that's what the guy was talking about on my podcast, was like breakout age and Joe Burrow, and like everybody was clowning him. Like it was so, and I was laughing. Like it was a great podcast though, but
yes, I mean,
I was just laughing at that. I was like, dude, he's he's special. I mean, he's even better than I thought now. Like Joe Burrow's playing.
Oh, he's
better.
amazing. Yeah. He's way better than I could have imagined too.
Yeah, and it just turns out, because we've never seen it, just turns out that everyone on the LSU team was just fired. The coach was fired, the quarterback was fired, and at least the top 2 wide receivers were fired. Clyde Edwards-Helaire was not fired.
Fired in college.
Yeah, well, come on.
In college, he was great. Oh yeah.
Come on, dude. I think if us 3 running back committee on that LSU team, we'd get a pretty high rip. We'd get a good yards per carry, 4.0, 4.1.
We'd get the 4, definitely.
We have to catch though. Like you got to catch in this offense. You got to be able to catch.
Got to have hands for sure.
Yeah. So that's the offense. Everything was just fire, and we may never see a college offense anywhere as good as that ever. That's how good it was.
That's true. That's how good it was at that point.
It was perfect.
So here's a comment. Here's a comment from Kale. He says for Kenny Pickett, his player comp would be Derek Carr. Could become a solid starter, but just doesn't see a superstar upside.
But just can't win a playoff game.
Oh, I have that same comp written down, which is cool. Derek Carr. So I think Mel Kiper Jr. also has Derek Carr as the comp. So
we got to read this too.
MJ23 says to Amar, "You are delusional." He says but
you're delusional talking about the 5th-year senior and the essentially breakout age and all that. Yeah.
Well, that would bring up the same question for Jamison Williams, that wide receiver we were talking about last week or a couple weeks back. He only had a good final season. He was just a total kind of just an extra body at Ohio State, transferred to Alabama, boomed in 1 year. Now he's in the draft. So it's the same kind of thing, that breakout age, whatever.
Put it all together.
Is it a red flag? If you want it to be a red flag for you, if you're into that, it can be. For me, I don't care too much about it. But those are basically the top 2 quarterbacks, Drew. Matt Corral, Kenny Pickett.